Hello everyone and welcome to something a little bit different. This is a game called From the Depths and I've put too much time into it. If you don't know what From the Depths is, it is essentially a real-time strategy slash vehicle builder. You use your own vehicles in a strategy in the main campaign, or there's an adventure mode which is kind of like a adventure survival game mode where you just build a vehicle to survive and fight other vehicles. And this is just a quick montage of me throwing together a hover tank. I had an idea for a pretty cheap hover tank that was in like a bit of a wedge formation. So I don't know, it just got on. It took me a little over an hour and I kind of just printed this bad boy out. So you'll have to let me know what you think about that. But anyway, I'm making this video because I've started a YouTube channel. You might notice if you're looking at this YouTube channel that is... What do you mean? It was started like... I don't know, in like April or whatever. And I bring this up because From the Depths is a game that I absolutely adore. And I'm wondering if people would be interested in seeing a live stream of adventure modes, trying out things I'm maybe not so good at building, or tutorials. You know, hover tanks personally my favorite, but I've had to teach most people that I know who play From the Depths have like huge gaps in experience. So they're like really good at some things and they're really bad at others. I can't use Lua to save my life, and I usually set up really basic AIs. But I'm good at building hover tanks. So anyway, that's it. But yeah, kind of just probing to see if there is people out there today looking for From the Depths content on YouTube. So I love this game. I love playing the adventure mode. I love playing the campaign. I love hopping into the designer with a random idea and doing all of that. And if people would be interested, I'll probably do more videos like this in the future. Now, as far as hover tanks go, I love hover tanks. I like how they control. If you build a good hover tank and you're piloting it manually, you can dodge pretty much every cram shell that ever comes at you. You can also outmaneuver a lot of missiles if your hover tank is fast. You're also immune to torpedoes and so on and so forth. So I really like the natural design of this. I love the thrust balancing. I love how smooth they control. And you'll get to see that when I end up finishing this. Now, this hover tank is not... I wouldn't call it good. It ends up costing a little over 50k resources, and does not have efficient engines in it. It's got way too much heavy armor. Honestly, it's got too much standard metal. I should have made a lot of it out of light alloy. Probably not going to come back to this. It didn't end up as quite as wedge-shaped as I liked. It was still a little too fat towards the end. So, yeah. I might, if people want to see it, come back and do a rebuild of this sort of tank, making it a lot sleeker, more wedged shaped, and a whole lot faster. But anyways, yeah, that's it. Probing to see if people want to see From the Depths content. So if you are interested, leave a comment, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, share it. Let me know some way, somehow. I'll put a link to my Discord in the chat. And yeah, it'd be cool to upload some YouTubes from time being. If we can get people, then it'd be cool to stream it too. But all that's going to be up to people seeing this video and giving it feedback. So yeah, with that, I'll skip ahead in the build a little bit and just kind of show you where we end up. So you may have noticed that I do not actually have exhaust pipes for my engines, and you might also have noticed the engine pods on the right and left side with the little mimic radiators on them are currently affixed to the ship. Basically, what I did is I put them down to get the thrust balanced right, and then I just left them attached to the main ship for now so that I could build in mirror mode, and then figure out stuff and copy paste it over pretty easily. I will be going back later and putting those engine pods onto spin blocks to make this handle really smooth and go a lot faster, and I'll show you that later. The reason I'm not using exhaust points for my engines is because they are very easily focused by infrared missiles, and one of the big problems that a hover tank is going to have is, of course, it stays in the air using jets, and it has jet pods, and it has engines, and it's not super massive, so it can't afford layers and layers and layers of armor. Anything that you were serious about using in the campaign or in the adventure mode, you should probably have flares and or decoys somewhere on it to draw infrared targets, targeting weapons away from such locations. But yeah, anyway, I'm not entirely sure what I'm going to do with the back of it. If I want to keep this pattern going all around, I'm kind of not sure. I don't want to add more engines to this thing, and I don't want to add more jets, because it doesn't need a larger infrared signature for sure, and I don't want to increase its fuel consumption. I guess I could add something in the back with some decoy pods and maybe one backup engine, but honestly I think that's a bit excessive for this. I think this design is not going to end up being too great for combat. It'll probably be a decent like supporting gun platform, but that, a unit like that, the most valuable thing it could be is a cheap gun. So, speaking of the gun, it's a 104mm autocannon, basically. It's pretty inefficiently set up, and if it gets a hit below the turret, it will go kaboom, and it'll probably take the whole tank out with it. So, not ideal there. On cheap designs, it's not really worth using ejectors, I find. I don't know. But yeah, as far as the warhead that it's firing, it's firing a frag HE, 4-component frag HE. So it does about 500 frag damage, and it does a really small explosive. A pretty weak shell, all things considered. It'll only be useful against wood, really. This is more just a proof of concept to test the idea of I say a wedge. Kind of, I guess a lobster would be a better way to describe this sort of tank. So like 2 front pods and then a little bit of back support to keep it aloft. Yeah. A lobster architecture, but a wedged shaped body without giant sort of thing. I don't know why this popped into my head, but anyway, it did, and now it exists. It's called the Wedge Mark 1. So I hope you enjoyed. But yeah, the shells, they're not too powerful. I just wanted to shove something onto this to give it a weapon and see what kind of weapon I could make out of the space. All things considered, it's not too bad. It's fairly cheap, and I would send it against anything in the... I would send it against most of the Deepwater Guard. If I had a few of them, I'm sure they could take on a lot of what's in the Deepwater Guard. But only really because the Deepwater Guard uses a lot of cram cannons. Anything that's using advanced cannons or missiles, this would struggle against. But yeah, if you want to see the redesign, I already have a list on paper of things I'd like to change about this. And, I think I'd like to go a little bit bigger. I'd like to make it a lot more definite on the wedge shape. I'd like to make the thruster pods look a lot nicer. I'd like to add some flares to it, and I'd like to power this gun up a bit and turn this into, I think somewhere around 120,000 resources. I could make something with this approximate design that was a lot stronger, that could take on most of the Deepwater Guard. But I'll save that idea for if people actually want to see it. And speaking of, let me know if you do want to see From the Depths content. Let me know if you want to see it on stream, or let me know if you want to see it time-lapsed on YouTube. Because I know to people who might have questions, streaming is probably better, or to people who have time. But if you just want to see, someone else's design showcase, time-lapse is going to be better for that too. So, yeah, I'm probably going to be playing this game, whether anyone wants to watch it or not. But if I know that people want to see this on YouTube, then I'll happily upload it. And I don't know if you guys have questions for me, or maybe if someone wants to help me learn how to use Lua, because my God, I cannot be bothered. I've tried, and I've failed to use Lua. The only thing that I've managed to do is install other people's missile scripts, and then an update comes out, and they got outdated. So, yeah. Anyways, I'm just fine-tuning the controls on this. Essentially what I'm doing here is the thrusters on those front thruster pods are just controlling my height and my pitch. What's actually controlling my forward, backward, and my yaw, my turning, is going to be the angle that those thruster pods are at. So if I want to turn to the right, then the right thruster pod tilts back, and the left thruster pod tilts forward, and it yanks my whole craft to yaw off to the right, to turn off to the right. Whereas if I want to go forward, both thruster pods tilt forward, and then all of the thrust that's correcting my pitch and maintaining my altitude is now also contributing to my forward backward. Right now it's a little bit slower because my pitch PID is currently set to keep me perfectly level, but I will be adjusting that a little bit later. Basically, the further I pitch forward and the further these front jet pods are tilted, then the more of the thrust that's just required to keep me afloat, the more that's converted into forward momentum or turning power. So, definitely going to see this get up to like 35 meters a second once I change its pitch. Here I am just setting up the AI. To be honest, this thing needs multiple AIs. It has really solid frontal armor, and it's not very great on the side armor. So it really should be using more of a maintain the distance sort of thing, or it should be going much further away. Honestly, it's got decent armor around the back, so it could even be using a hit and run type AI. I should set up a couple different subroutines for a craft like this, but this is mostly just a proof of concept to see how well it works. And then, yeah, I have to say, I was really happy. This thing can bank like it is nobody's business, even with the AI, the PID on it. Which I guess that's another thing you have to get pretty good at when it comes to making hover tanks, is balancing thrust, figuring out what thrusters need to be on what things, and then fine-tuning the PIDs. So that's another thing that I've got a lot of experience with. But yeah, I haven't done a straight-up hover tank in the adventure mode. I usually end up going for some capital battleship that ends up getting wrecked by something else that I just don't know how to beat. Like some missile volley of like 400 missiles or something just starts coming in, or nukes. I drop my guard for a minute while I'm working on something and somehow my craft gets nuked. I've had all that happen to me. But yeah, look at how this thing controls. It's so smooth. I know it probably doesn't look that way on 5 times speed, but yeah. Getting up to 36, it can really bank to help it turn. It's a little low to the water, so I think I'll adjust its average height to be 20 meters higher. But anyway, yeah, more to the point. If you like From the Depths and you want to see more content for it, or you'd like to join me on stream and just see what I'm building, find a way to let me know. Honestly, the best thing you can do is leave a comment or share the video or something like that. I'll probably also leave a link to my Discord. So by all means, hop in there, let me know if you want to see it. I'm a pretty small YouTube channel. So if you do want to see more From the Depths, or if you want to help me out, the best thing that you could do is share the video, giving other people the chance to decide whether or not they like my content. So, yeah. Anyways, with all that said, thanks for watching. Hopefully, I'll see you soon with some From the Depths. Have a great day. I've been Zacargo, and this has been fun. I hope to see you soon with a rebuild of this damn wedge.